Hi, I'm Taylor Bernardo, and this is my meat cookery project for the meat we eat. So what we're going to be making today is just a very classic meatloaf, and the reason why I chose this is because it's very easy. It's one of mine and my roommate's favorite recipes for dinner, and it's relatively inexpensive, so we're not going to be breaking the bank as broke college students. So what we're going to be using is ground round. It says here it's 100% beef, it's 85% lean and 15% fat. I got this at Publix and it was $9.76, but per pound it's about $5.99, and it weighs 1.63 pounds. So I found this in the cooled section where you usually get all of your meats, and it was stored at 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can see, it's in its retail packaging with the classic styrofoam bottom and the oxygen permeable clear plastic covering. Like I said, this is the ground round, so it is part of the primal cut of the cow. So it comes from the hindquarters, specifically more their rump area and the hind legs. So those are composed of muscles more for locomotion, so they're going to be a little tougher, which isn't too bad for meatloaf, especially since you don't want it falling apart on you, which is nice. Also, it's ground, so it's very convenient. I think it was labeled well. It says all of the components that it needs to. I believe it was packaged there at Publix, considering this is a fresh product, and it has all the safe handling instructions and weight and everything that we really need to know, so I think it was done relatively well. The way that we're going to be cooking this meatloaf is we're going to be baking it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour. And of course, we want to make sure that the inside is about 165 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit inside. That way we know that it's cooked fully. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my hands before I prepare any of this stuff. Now that my hands are washed, I'm going to start by cutting the onion before I decide to touch any of the meat, because I want to avoid any kind of cross-contamination. So here we have one onion, and we want to just chop it. It doesn't really have to be finely chopped, but it would help definitely when you make the meatloaf and combine all the ingredients together.
So in a large bowl, what you're going to do is you're going to mix one onion that's chopped, we're going to mix the ground beef, 1 egg, 1 cup of dried breadcrumbs, 1 cup of milk, and then salt and pepper to taste.
Good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put it on this pan that I already sprayed, and we're going to make it into a little loaf. There we go. If you're wondering about these 3 ingredients in front of me, don't worry, we can use that. It's going to be the little sauce that covers it on top. So once we get this loaf ready, we will prepare that sauce. So I'm going to make this, I mean, you don't have to be very particular in making any size loaf. I guess it's going to look like an egg since we're coming on Easter. So now we're going to put this in, like I said before, at 350 degrees for about an hour. So we're going to put our loaf in before we put the sauce. Going to let it cook for a little bit, and then let's say maybe 45 minutes in, we'll put the sauce on top and then slide it back in just so it cooks a little more. So there we go. And now we're going to make our sauce. So while that's cooking, we're going to start making the sauce with our last ingredients. So what I have here is 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I have 2 tablespoons of mustard. Not really particular on what kind of mustard you use. It's really just kind of up to your preference. Let's try and get all of that in here. Got a spoon to help me. And then, finally, we are going to add a 1/3 cup of ketchup. we're just gonna mix this up. So all of the ingredients are pretty well combined. And after the 45-minute mark, we're just gonna put this over the meatloaf, like I said, to give it a little extra flavor. So after 45 minutes, we'll be back and we'll finish up this meatloaf. Alright, so we've reached the 45-minute mark. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a look at it. And at this point, we are going to put the sauce on top. And then we're going to stick it back in for another 15 minutes. So we are going to put this back in another 15 minutes. And then we'll be eating. And we'll see you in 15 minutes. So now the loaf should be done. It smells great. Here is our finished product. It's really hot right now. We're actually going to take the temperature to make sure that it's done all the way using this thermometer. I remember Dr. Carr saying in his sample video that the best way to take an accurate temperature is not to go straight from the top, but from the side. So that is exactly what we're going to do. I think we're pretty good. I would say the meat is done. So we're going to have this for dinner right now, but as far as storage goes, we're probably going to be putting it in Tupperware containers, and we're going to be refrigerating it for no more than 3 to 4 days, because usually that's about the shelf life of like fresh ground beef. So we're probably going to devour this within a day or two. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it.